Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Catherine Kelly. I am a holistic health psychologist and soul healing specialist. And I'm going to talk to you about change today and why it is so difficult, both because it is part of the human condition, but it's also very much part of our soul's condition. So I'm going to explain this a little bit to you. My whole mission is to bring ancient wisdom to the modern soul, and what that means is helping you understand how the soul works in human life today, so that I can help you evolve beyond whatever gets you stuck. And what gets us stuck the most is the fact that we need to change something. So, the whole idea of change. Now, there is a model out there called the stages of change model. And I'm going to talk about that in a few moments, but I want to talk to you first about the fact that change is not only about the human condition, it is about our soul's need to reweave the fabric of our life. So for many of you, you know that I've done videos on what I call the tapestry of life. And the tapestry of life is basically at the day that we are born, we are already woven with the things that we're supposed to learn in this lifetime, everything that we've learned or grown from, or everything that we're still snagged by from previous lifetimes. That's where our tapestry of life starts. And so as we go through life, we are supposed to be reweaving our fabric as part of our soul's evolution, so that we can get to a higher level, so that we can outgrow old patterns, we can let some things go, we can get to a higher level in terms of thinking and believing and being in general. And so this whole tapestry of life is completely dependent on our willingness to change. And you've probably heard me say a gazillion times that we don't change, excuse me, we don't change unless we are tired enough of ourselves or our situations. And that is a bottom line statement of truth. So until we are ready to change, we're not going to change. So in the blog article that I wrote to go with this video, I wrote about the 6 stages of change, and I'm going to list those off real quickly here. It's pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and relapse. And these stages of change really are proposed, by these authors from 30, 50, well, 40 years ago, that basically helps people understand why it's difficult to change and the path we go through in terms of doing that process of change. Well, I like to also integrate the soul into the process, because the thing is, this is not just about dealing with our human condition. This is about consciously evolving our souls. It's about taking us to that next level. And if we don't evolve beyond old patterns, if we don't evolve beyond old difficult relationships or difficult ideas about ourselves or others, or whatever it is that is kind of tripping us up and stepping in our way, we are not evolving. We are not heightening our awareness, and we're not getting to that soul's level that we're supposed to get to in any given lifetime. One of the things I tell people is that if you don't figure it out in this lifetime, you're going to come back and do it again. And most people are like, whoa, okay, that motivates me to change. And that's exactly why I say those words, because it helps you realize that until we take control over it, until we decide that we are going to put some work into evolving, we're not going to do it. So going back to these stages, if you think about that, pre-contemplation is that we have blinders on. We're not even thinking about changing. We don't even think we have to change. Those around us may think we have some things to change, but that's also where people get very defensive, because if they don't see the need to change and yet other people are starting to bring it up, or they're having consequences from their behavior, well, then maybe that's going to help you wake up to realize, okay, well, I'm having some consequences. Maybe I need to take a look at this. Which leads to the next level, which is contemplation. Contemplation is the stage where people are thinking, well, gosh, this isn't working out for me. I keep hitting the same wall. I keep doing the same thing. And this is the time where it's like the come to Jesus conversations we have to have with ourselves to say, well, maybe it's me. Maybe it's not everybody outside of me. And so this contemplation piece is really important. That's where we do the soul searching. That is where we dig in and go, wow, I am responsible for some of this. My behavior causes these reactions. So we have to do that soul searching during that part of that contemplation stage. The preparation stage is about preparing to do something differently. And again, that can be very difficult. Now, when I led a weight management group years ago, when I was a professor at the medical school, one of the first questions I would ask the members in the group would be, how ready are you to lose the weight? And most people would say, oh my gosh, I'm so ready. And then my next question would be, how ready are you to do what it takes to lose the weight? And then there'd be this backpedaling. Because preparing to make change is a difficult process because you have to own up to some things. You have to look at what it is that's going on within you that's causing the behaviors to begin with. And so that is another soul searching time. It's also that putting that mirror in front of you to go, wow, okay, I am responsible for making these changes happen. So the preparation stage is a sole part of this as well because we have to do that searching. We have to go to that depth of owning up or seeing where we are responsible or where we have agency over some sort of shift. The action stage is when we jump in and we are going gung ho and we're ready and we're putting things to action. And this is usually where the visceral sense of change, excuse me, the visceral change and the experience of change happens because of the fact that it's hard to actually change behaviors. And we can get going and we can feel really good and we think, oh wow, we've got this, we've got this. And so this is the part where we are, if you're thinking about reweaving that fabric, this is where we are literally pulling up those snags and going, okay, I'm going to do this differently, but can I pull this out completely to reweave my fabric to sustain? So the action stage is all about when our souls are leveling up, when we are going, okay, I am ready to do some of this change. I'm going to do what I can. This is also where the action stage causes discomfort because change is uncomfortable. And this is when our ego kicks in. So we have the ego fighting our soul. Ego is like, ooh, this is too uncomfortable. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to change. Change means danger. Well, no, our ego is there basically it does there to protect us, but it protects us from our soul's evolution, which is not a good thing. So that whole preparation stage leading into the action stage is really an important part of getting a hold of what do you want more? Do you want the positive outcome of having changed, or do you want to stay comfortable because your ego is trying to get you to stay comfortable? So this is where we start wrestling with the soul and the ego, and whichever is louder is going to win. And this is where the soul's evolution is so important. If you can get your soul to say, this is the true me, this is what is right for me, this is how I can honor me differently. These new behaviors are going to be healthier for me. I'm going to appreciate myself more. I'm going to honor myself more. If you can stay in that place where you know that that truth of who you are is going to feel better in the long run than the ego that keeps trying to tell you to go backward, that is all where you need to stay because it will get you forward. Now, then we enter that whole maintenance phase. And the maintenance phase is again, your soul is kind of wrestling a little bit with your ego. If your soul has said enough and you're changing your identity enough to evolve into the new you will overcome the ego's voice very easily. But if you're still wrestling with yourself, or if you like the comfort of the old ways, then you're going to get pulled backwards. So it's about getting to know your soul. You know, one of the things I say in my book, Soul Health, is to know your soul is to know true health. And the more you can know your soul, the more you can listen to your soul, the more you can tune in, it's going to tell you, oh, don't grab that donut. Don't grab this. You know, let's go for a walk. It's going to tell you this is going to align with me better if you're willing to hear it. But in that maintenance phase, that's where we have to kind of dig in and stay very kind of grounded with ourselves to get that new pathway formed in ourselves. So then we have the relapse stage, and relapse is when we go backwards. Now that doesn't mean we go all the way backwards, and this is something I want to explain is that I personally think it is important for us to go backwards at times so that we can catch ourselves and go, oh, wow, okay, I'm going backwards. This is what was working the last time. I'm going to push forward with those things and I'm going to add one or two things to keep me moving forward. So we have this cyclical kind of process that happens until we can really go, wow, I've outgrown that completely. So to me, it is a necessary part of us growing and evolving as souls to go through these cycles of change. And I'm sitting in this room on purpose because trees go through cycles of change every year. And when they go dormant, when they've lost their leaves, they've shed all their leaves and they go dormant for a few months, they are storing up energy. They are not as dormant as we think they are, but they're actually storing up energy so that come spring, they can move forward. They can evolve beyond that last season. And we don't ever know where the next branch or branchlet is going to sprout, that we know that those leaves are going to come out. We know that that energy is going to burst forth. And so this is kind of, in some ways, similar to the relapse stage, is that we have to gain momentum. We have to kind of come back to ourselves, tune in, see what was working before, and then get to that next level so that we can burst forth with the next level of change. So everything on this planet goes through cycles. Everything on this planet that has a living essence to it goes through some sort of cycle of change. And so it's very normal for humans to struggle. It's just difficult for us when we think we've gone all the way back to square one. But we can never go back to square one if we realize we've learned something. What we need to do is take what we've learned and kind of pull it all together and start over again. And what eventually happens is that you accumulate the skills and the knowledge and the tools to get past whatever it is. Now, again, there's so many different things that we have to choose to change. So whether it is leaving old unhealthy relationships or getting out of an old job that's not healthy for us, or maybe getting into a whole new career, it's uncomfortable, and discomfort is always part of our soul's evolution. If our soul's evolution was easy peasy, we'd all be gurus. We'd all be to that place where we think we're done. But the thing is, we all have something to learn. We all have something to evolve through and change. And we just need to pull that wisdom within, and that is why it is so important for us to get quiet with ourselves to hear, because we can hear all kinds of stuff outside of us that will pull us off track. But until we go within and deal with whatever's getting in the way of our change, addressing whatever those issues are, we're not going to get above it, whatever that means. So, human change is extremely connected to our soul's evolution. And I just wanted to pair that for you so you would understand that, again, we distance ourselves from our souls, but it is all about why we're here. The essence of who we are is all about what we do with our human condition. And if we don't do something with our human condition, we're not going to evolve as souls. So I hope this was helpful for you. Again, I want to bring tangible information to you. I tell people I live somewhere between science and woo because I do take the research that's out there and help people interpret it and understand it in terms of our soul's evolution. So would love to hear your comments, and I hope this has helped you on your own process of change.